After listening to the speech from the Mexican scientist, the first things that shocked me the most was that he mentioned the air pollution in Mexico City in the past. The picture of "you can see the air" was very impactful. This reminded me that even though we are in Taiwan, which is an environment with relatively good air quality, the climate change issues is never been the responsibilities of a certain city or a certain country. Is a threat that all people need to face together. The examples of Mexico cities tells us that as long as we are willing to take actions, the qualities of the environment can be greatly improved. And the methane problems mentioned in the speech is also made me realize that the complex of climate change, because in the past we had a relatively high understanding of carbon emissions and carbon dioxide, but we know less about methane. And I think this is because we all know that methane emissions are much less than carbon dioxide. So we all focus more on carbon dioxide and we didn't care about methane more. But after watching this speech, I realized that although the total methane emissions are not as much as carbon dioxide, but its short-term warming effect is more than 80 times of carbon dioxide. So this means that if the methane emissions can be effectively reduced, it can quickly have a positive impact on climate change. And then for the speaker's decisions to move from Texas to Europe to help the EU establish the global methane monitoring systems, I think this decision is full of wisdom, because the speakers knew that Europe was not the largest methane emissions region, but what he saw is that he found out the potential of the EU's influence in international trade. The concept of market access conditions he proposed made me feel that he was very, very smart. The EU requires global suppliers to reduce methane emissions by setting standards. This is a major step in globalizing sustainable responsibility. And another thing that makes me think this speaker is amazing is that he tells the journey as a father. He mentioned in the speech that his daily work revolves around data, around technologies and policies, but his hope comes from the eyes of his two children. This made me realize that even though climate change may still be a policies or a new issues for our generation, but for the next generation, which may be our child, this will be a part of their real lives. So I think we have the responsibility to let them live in a world where they can still breathe fresh air and see blue skies. In this speech, I learned a lot about methane and climate policy, And I also learned that hope and responsibility can exist at the same time. As the speaker said in the speech, we use data not only to understand problems, but also to solve them. I think this sentence should be passed to everyone in the world.